Action.
Action. Why does everybody go like that? That's an old thing, right? Peace. That's
60s comes to mind, but we still use it.
my uncle was older than me, like 6 years. He was like a hippie guy, had long hair. I mean, what we call hippie. Hippie comes from being hip. You're like,
Yeah.
you're happening, man. But it seems like peace was like, that's what they did. So I just copied them. And then I would see my dad do it, and like every picture was like, peace. Yeah, he rode motorcycles and all that kind of cool stuff. And then he was then he went out on a dune buggy. I remember I was up there with a friend of his, and they went up in the mountains up by Globe, and somehow flipped the thing, and they had to air vac my uncle out to Phoenix, and he was all messed up. The guy he was with died. So, hey Richard. So, but yeah, my uncle's okay, but he just talks real funny now. His jaw was all messed up.
Not a lot of overhead protection in those things.
No, they weren't wearing anything. I think they were just horsing around. All right, I'm gonna add you guys, and we'll get started. I think a lot of people are gonna come in late today. So, let's just get started. Sheet. Oh, let's see if I can get this going here. I was supposed to have class today with my HVAC class, and they just canceled it because nobody. He's like, there's no new topics. Do we want to have class? And I said, well, if there's gonna be new topics and you're gonna impart new information, then yeah. But if not, let's just do it online. Let's do a virtual class. And then he just emailed everybody and said, class is canceled. That's something for me? Are the vending machines real expensive too? Figure. Uh-oh. Oh my gosh, okay. Well, let's see if it works. I guess it's updating.
How's your HDMI port?
You know what? It was acting really weird yesterday, and I took your advice, and I didn't use a toothpick. I just blew on it really hard on the wire and also the port, and it seems to be better. So it might have been some dust or something.
Okay.
But it's been freaking out big time.
A lot of debate with the Nintendo cartridges, whether you're helping or hurting it when you blow into it.
Oh, really? Yeah. Moisture and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I thought I'd risk it. Well, does anybody have any questions until start automatically? Let's see. Anyone have any questions before we get started on CSV files? So you guys understand how we did opening just regular files last time and writing to files? So today we're going to work on CSV files. There we go. Excellent. Let me let you in, Richard. Let's make this a little bit bigger here. And I emailed you guys the Titanic CSV. So you should have a big CSV that's like 1,310 records of all the survivors, or all the people that were, all the passengers on the Titanic, which is kind of neat data set. So we'll work with that a little bit later. But let's go into, let me move this down a little. I think I can make it a little bigger. There we go. Okay, so CSV. What? Can anybody tell me what that stands for?
Separated value.
Yeah. Let you guys in. Yeah, so CSV, we're going to work with CSV today a little bit. CSV stands for comma, separated values, okay? Okay, so this is like one of the most common formats to work with when you get out there in the business, when you get out there in the real world. If somebody has a CSV file, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. That's really what you want. Okay. So, what a typical line of a CSV file would look like would be like, we're going to write one, but it would be like 100, comma, and this is all a string, and then Jones, and then a comma, and then 2498. Okay, so that would be one line of a CSV. So yesterday we wrote, they were separated by spaces. Now they're separated by commas, okay? So that's the difference. Everything's separated by a comma. And sometimes if you have a string, they want that separated by double quotes. So you might see that sometimes, okay? Because we could have something like, the next line of this file could be 200, and it could be Bill, comma, Ted, whatever. Excellent Adventure, was that their names? 0.00. Okay, so if you have something like this that has a comma in it already, right? You need to surround that with double quotes. So when you read this in, this is going to go into field 1, and this will be its own field. For example, say this is account number, and this is name, and this is we'll call this balance. Those are the headings of these columns. So this would go into account, and then this whole thing would go into name. So that's how you can get commas into your data, is by surrounding them with double quotes. Okay. We don't have an example of this, but so I want you guys to open up. I want you to try this. Okay, so open up a terminal, or just open up VS Code and create this. Do you guys want me to email this to you so you don't have to type it all in? Is that easier?
Oh, yeah.
And I want you to try writing a file. Let me send you this, okay?
What we're copying right now, should those strings need to be double quotes, or are they fine as singles?
They're fine as singles right there because they don't have a comma in them.
Oh.
This is
Got it. So if it said two names like Bill, Ted, that's when you, okay.
Yeah. I'm going to send you something else. Okay, I just emailed you this already as a Python file. With this code and with the code down below. So if you could open that up in VS Code, so just go to your email and download it wherever, and then open it up in VS Code and try it out and see if it creates. So this is the same thing that we did yesterday or Tuesday, but we have to import CSV now, the module, and then we use the with open accounts.csv. means we're going to create this new CSV, and the CSV files end with .csv usually, and it's a write mode, and we're saying a new line is blank here, and we're using it as accounts. This is the file handle. And then we're creating a new object, writer equals csv.writer account. So we're returning an object that writes CSV data to the specified file object, okay, which is that. So now we say writer.write row. So we're writing a row, and this is a list, right, in here. So we're writing this whole list out, separated by commas. So when somebody gets this done, let me know, and then I want you to go into your command line in VS Code and type in, I'm going to clear this for a second. So here's what I just sent you guys. We're writing to a file called accounts.csv, and then down below here, we're opening it up as read only. And let me let you in, Wolfgang.
I've got object is recallable somewhere.
The next one we're reading. So we're writing to a file, and now we're reading from the file that we just wrote. So we're opening accounts.csv as a read. We're not writing to it. And now we have a formatted print right here. We're printing the string account, left justified in a field of 10 characters, and then name left justified in 10, and balance right justified in 10, which should line up the decimal points. And now we're saying reader equals csv.reader, that's a method. We're gonna read the accounts.csv for record in reader, so for each record, and these are called records. So the very first line is a record, right? So this is a record. Think of each line as a record. And each one of these would be called a field. So that's the zero field, zeroth field, first field. So for record and reader, we're doing our account name balance equals record. I should say dot split, right? Is that working? I think it is. Let's see. And then we're printing it out with this track that's running. Yeah, it did work. Okay. You could also type in more down here, accounts.csv, and you should see the same thing. But when we print it out here with this formatted print, it looks a lot better, right? You can see that it printed out with the balance and all the decimal points, well, not quite lining up, but it's all right justified. Okay, which is nice. This one doesn't quite line up. And this is left justified in a field of 10, this is left justified in a field of 10. Did anybody get it to work? You did? Okay, let's see. Cool. And you got it to print out both ways, yeah. Good. And you got it? You guys got it? You downloaded it? Excellent. Good. All right. So you got the code already. Good work for you? Good. Work for you? Beautiful. Beautiful. Good.
Yes, so you have to have more code. That would be a start.
Got it. Excellent. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, stay after class if you want, if you got a minute, because I don't have to leave today. So I'll check out that stuff. Okay, great. How about you guys? Did you get it? Okay.
Oh, I still have that error.
Is it going well? Did it work for you? Yeah. Cool. Richard, working? Good. Good. All right, cool. All right, so you guys know, now you know how to write a CSV file and read a CSV file, okay? So let's look at, so we're reading from, okay? And now I want to show you this thing called pandas, which stands for panel data. And I don't know if you could try this on your own laptops if you have it. So if you just go to if you open a command prompt and type in Python space -m pip install pandas and see if it works. Alessandra, you should be there somewhere. Yeah. If it doesn't work, let me know.
Oh, okay.
And if you don't know how to open a command window, just hit start and type CMD. And that'll open a command. Yeah, did it work? Oh, it's installing. Good deal. So Pandas is it's kind of like a Python. Did you get it going?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay, good. Successfully installed. Good. Okay. Okay, cool. Did anybody get IPython installed or Anaconda back in the day? Has anybody got that thing working? On my home computer. On your home? It's working? Okay, good. So you can try to install Pandas if you want.
Oh, you need to type in Python first.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, Python. The space.
Good.
The like that. The
Oh, it's
space.
letting you install it on this.
No, you, no, no,
I didn't know you had permission.
do it all in one line.
Is
Do it
yours
all in one
installed?
line.
It is?
You try to do it.
Good. Is yours?
Oh, wait, no, well, make sure to have the line too. That's the dash. Yeah, then, that should work.
So you gotta go to,
That should look, oh, big, yeah, big, yeah, that one.
so do this, type in CD, space.
You are so calm and casual about that.
Backslash. That'll get you
Exactly.
Okay, do a DIR right there.
This is just a flush road.
I didn't see program. And just hit. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Something's wrong with, it doesn't know where your Python exists. Did anybody else have success installing Pandas? Got it? Okay, good. Do it right, open a command line. So, just type in CD. And then type out Python-m tip install Pandas. Type in that right there. See if that works. So let me show you some pretty cool stuff that you can do with Pandas and with IPython. So let me open my IPython here. Okay, and I installed this at the beginning of class. Okay, so this is my Anaconda. I wonder if I can make this bigger. There we go. Okay, that's better. Okay, so this is, it's just like your terminal. It's interactive Python, okay? So now I have Pandas installed. And you can do this inside VS Code as well. But I'm gonna say import Pandas as PD. So I'm importing the Pandas module, but I'm calling it PD right now. And now I'm gonna load up the Titanic CSV file, but I'm gonna get it from the original that's on the web. So let me get this. Open this up again. Where am I at? Ah. Why did this get small? There. What? Make it big for you. Okay. So now I'm gonna load. So it's Titanic equals PD, because that's what we're calling pandas, PD. Dot read CSV. So I'm reading in a CSV right now. Okay. Now that I have my CSV in here, I can type Titanic dot head, and head is a command in Unix that gives you the top 10 lines. There's also tail that'll give you the bottom 10 lines. So you could see when I just typed in head, it gave me the top 10, or actually the top 5 in this case, records of this CSV file. So it's got this whole column here is called row names. So this is their whole name that hasn't been broken down into first name and last name. This is another column called survived, and it just has yes or no. The sex, female, male, and the age in years. And then this is their passenger class. Were they on first class, second class, or third class on the Titanic? Okay. So I'm still in IPython. Let me pull this over. I can pull this up. Okay. So head does that. Tail will show you the bottom. Describe. Let's try tail. That shows you the bottom. Describe. Oh, did it? This describes. Now, when you do describe, it looks for any numeric column, and the only numeric column that we have in this data set is the age column. So it's giving us a bunch of statistics. It says, okay, we got 1,046 columns that have an age. The average age is 29.88, so the average person on the Titanic was 29 years old. The standard deviation was 14. The minimum, this was a real young baby, like probably a month old or something, because it's 0.1. And then the 25th percentile, these are statistical things, was 21, 28, 39, and then the maximum was 80. So the oldest person on the Titanic was 80, which is pretty cool. So we're getting some pretty cool info. And then you can do some queries on this too. So let's do, let's see how many people were under the age of 2. So we can say age is less than 2. So we do, oh, I think I screwed this up now. Okay. So I say Titanic. Come on. What's this thing doing? It's like not letting me type anymore. Let's shrink it down, I guess. Titanic.query age is less than 2. And I put this in single quotes. Sorry you guys can't see it. Now I'll make it bigger. Okay, so these are all the people that were less than 2 years old on the Titanic. What does this data tell you when you're looking at it? What can you determine just looking at that? Where were most of the young people?
Were some of the last entries.
What class were they?
Third class.
Third class. Where was third class?
The
Bottom of the boat, right? Those people didn't make it, most of them, right? But they did let women and children off first, so a lot of these little babies survived, right? Because they were saying, well, women and children off first, which is pretty cool. But most of the little kids were down in the bottom of the boat, you know. If you've ever seen a Titanic movie, you see all the people that were down there. They didn't have a lot of money. They weren't up there in first class with, you know, they're down in this. They probably didn't even get to go outside much and see the, you know, or walk around the boat. They're probably just stuck down there. Now I want to show you, there's a way to plot this up if you're in here. So you have to type in matplotlib, and then we can do a plot in this. So let me see if I can get back here. So matplot. Every time I type, it's going way down here. I'm gonna shrink it down. Wonder if this will do clear. There we go. Matplotlib. That's firing that up. Okay. And now I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for you. And I can say Titanic.histogram. And it plots up the only numeric data that we had, which is a histogram of age. Okay, so this is what they call a histogram. So it's showing you that this is the age down here at the bottom. Okay, remember the oldest person was 80. So I think we had one person that was 80. So this is one, but most of the people were right about between, what does that look like to you guys? About 18 to 24 is the most, and there was like 200, maybe 25 of those people in that range. So most of the people were pretty young. A few young ones, and then most of the people were, you know, between 18 and 25, I would say, and then it gradually starts going down. So you can plot within with this CSV, which is pretty cool. What else did I want to show you guys? Let me show you what else you can do with CSVs. Does anybody here know how to use Excel or ever used Excel before? Most people? Yeah, a little bit? Okay. Cool. So let me show you a little bit about Excel. If you know Excel, it's very handy. Okay, so I opened Excel, and I've got my Titanic data set over here in a window. It's right there. I'm just going to drag it right over here. And it should have imported, it didn't.
Is it?
Oops, let me admit somebody else on there. Or you can do file.
It's not next to sheet 1 in the lower left.
That's one I loaded already. I want to show you guys. We could just say open CSV, and it should open it here. I don't know why it's not. Let me try dragging it in. Well, another thing you can do, I thought this would work. Another thing you can do is just double click a CSV. And it should open up, let me close this tab here for you guys. I want to show you how to do it from scratch.
Or right click open with if you want to open it with something else.
Yeah, so watch, I'm just going to double click this. Okay, so there, and it just opened up for me. Okay, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. So it just opened up in Excel, but it's still a CSV file. So if I want to save it as an Excel file, I'll have to say File, Save As, and then see where it says CSV, comment delimited? You just change this to an Excel workbook, and then I can save it as that. Okay, so now let me show you a few cool things about Excel. So this is loaded up each of the comma separated values into each one of these columns. Okay, but they're kind of cut off. So the first thing I do is click in this upper left-hand thing, and that highlights everything. And then I go to Format, Auto Fit Column Width, and that automatically moves the columns to the biggest thing that's in that column. which is pretty nice. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier to read now. The other thing I do is I grab the whole thing again, clicking up here, and then I go to View, and I say Freeze Panes, and I say Freeze Top Row. Now when I scroll, the top row stays there. Notice that? And then I usually click the top row and I go to Home and I make it bold. I click the bold button, which is right here. Okay. So now when I scroll, I can see that my column headers stay where they are, which is nice. And another nice thing to do is select the whole thing, go to Data, and then click this Filter button. Looks like a funnel. And now this lets me select things. I can say Survive. I can say Unselect All and just say Yes. I only want to see the ones that survived, where survive equals yes. So now it shrinks it way down. Okay, these are the people that survived. All yes, okay. And let's say I want to say survive and they are females, say. Okay. So that's pretty cool. Now I've even shrunk it down further. And let's say survive females and say they're in third class. I want to see that. Just females that survived in third class. And that's shrinking it way down. Okay, and if you want to do the count, you can say, if you ever want to put a formula in here, you can say, just click in a cell and say, put the equal sign, subtotal, 3, and then you could put, I could say A605, which is this row, A605, to E, and what is the last row? 1302. And that should tell me, okay, so that tells me there's 496 that are, they survived the Titanic, they're female, and they're in third class, which is pretty cool. Oh, who has a hand? Richard, did you have your hand up?
I do.
Yes, sorry.
What's up with the parentheses in the names that are all cut off? Did you ever say those?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I think maybe that's the maiden name or something like that. I don't know, actually. I have to look at the...
Yeah, it's just that a lot of them cut off. So I don't know if
Yeah, a lot of
it's
them got
bad.
truncated. Yeah, I got to look at the, you know, has anybody heard about metadata? It's
Yeah.
data about data. So that, if we could find the metadata for this, it would tell us what this means. This is probably Leah Rosen. This is Sam Axe. So her maiden name might have been or Leah Rosen before she got married. Another cool thing to do with this, now I can undo all the filters. I'll just select all. I'll keep it filtered. Select all. And select all here. And now I should get back to my, so I got 3285, that doesn't look right. Let me get rid of this formula here. That's how you can do formulas if you want in a cell. Is just click in a cell and start typing the equal sign, and you could just say, you know, whatever. Let's add this age. So this cell would be D2, which is 29 plus 5, 34. So you can do math in here. Or you could select, if you select everything and then over here to sort, you can sort, and you says my column, my data has headers, so I want to sort on row names A to Z, alphabetical. Okay. So there was a millionaire on the boat, John Jacob Astor. So there he is right there. He was a colonel. Rich guy. Colonel John Jacob Astor. He didn't survive. He was a male. He was 47. He was in first class. Okay. A lot of people, you know, they didn't let the men get off the boat. There was a lady called the unsinkable Molly Brown. Anybody heard of that? I think this is her right here. I think her name was Margaret. I guess she was on a couple different boats that sank, and she never died. You couldn't kill her. She was like the unsinkable Molly Brown. So she was 44 on first class, female, and survived.
Okay, her nickname Unsinkable probably came after surviving that.
Yeah, but I think she was on another ship that sank too.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway, this is kind of what you can do with CSVs once you get them in to Excel, and then you saw what we could do with them inside of IPython, and using pandas too. You can do some analysis there, which is nice. We saw how we could plot up a bar graph or a histogram. So yeah, if you know some Excel, it's going to help you get a job. For sure, if you know your way around Excel. There's some pretty cool things you can do. Like you can, if you're pretty savvy, there's all these, like you could have another tab down here that's open. And then you could do some database stuff where you could join the data from one tab and join it to the data in this tab if there's a common field between the two, if you had an ID of some sort. That's called a VLOOKUP. Did you have another question? Richard? No, I just never lowered your hand.
Oh, that's right.
So, any other questions about, I mean, this is just touching with Excel, but there's a lot you can do with Excel. And one thing I forgot to tell you is there's a Python module that you can import, and it's called XSLT, I think. XSLT. That you can, in Python, you can open an Excel file and go into these columns and print stuff out from within Python. From within Python. Or you can write out your own Excel file from within Python. I think it's called XSLT. I used to do that a lot. So you can create an Excel file inside Python. So it's pretty cool. All right, so I think that's all I wanted to, let's see, there's a histogram with matplotlib. And I tried this inside, because you can do the same thing in here in VS Code, right? You can, let me fire up Python. You can say import pandas as PD, right? You can do it right in here too. Now that you've installed it, you can import it right into VS Code. And then you could do these other commands here, like you could bring in there it is. So let's do the Titanic. See if I can copy this thing. Paste it in here. There we go. Okay, so now I'm in VS Code. I should be able to type Titanic.head, and that should be at the top row. So I can do the same thing that I just did in IPython here in VS Code. So I'm opening a CSV and I can look at it with pandas. But if I type matplotlib, opens that up. Oh, it doesn't say. Did that right? So that's probably why it didn't plot. But you can do most of the other things. I don't know why that's not. Let me see. Okay. Now let's try it. Okay. Let's see if this works. Titanic.histogram. See, I didn't see anything pop up anywhere. So I'm not sure how to plot within this interface, but I'm sure there's a way to do it. Okay, so I want to tell you guys that I did write the final last night. So the final, there's a final quiz and a final, we'll call it assignment. Okay, so the final quiz is worth 100 points. And the final assignment is worth 60. So the total is worth 160. This is, it might sound crazy, but it's 100 questions. Each worth a single point. Okay? But they're relatively easy. I picked relatively easy questions. Okay? So I think you're going to be able to just roll right through it pretty fast. Okay? This one, you're going to have to create a Python file, a script, and you're going to have to do all the things I'm telling you, and there's 13 questions in here, and each one's worth like 3 points or 6 points or 4 points. And you need to turn that in, and you need to name it like final Tony .py, for example, something like that. I want your name in there. And then when I run your Python script, it's going to go through and print out. The answer to question 1 is this. The answer to question 2 is this, right? So I'm just going to be able to grade it very easily, and it's going to ask me to input something like an integer, and then it's going to print out, and I'm just going to roll through it. So you don't need to make a main function if you don't want. You can just write all the code just line by line by line by line by line. Okay? And it's not that hard. Okay? It's not that hard. So I'm all done with that. So. And I was going to offer, when we have the last 2 free classes, not next week, but the final week, if you guys want to learn something new, you can. It'll be a democratic vote, whatever majority chooses. And I'll give you some options. We'll do it next Thursday, of some topics that I'd be willing to teach you, or we can spend one of the class periods just reviewing for the final. So it's up to you guys. Okay. Let's dive into exceptions now a little bit, and then we'll give you a break. Okay, and then I've got some stuff for you to do in class. So you guys kind of remember exceptions. Can everybody just type this in your terminal? Type 10 divided by 0 and see what you get.
Slash.
Yeah, /. What'd you get?
Out of memory, like, is not recognizable internal, external command.
Let's see.
I think I'm actually not running.
Oh, type in Python first.
Yeah, that one I got.
And now type 10 divided by 0.
Alright, zero division error.
0 division error. Okay, everybody get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Won't VS Code just leak?
Nope, nope. It just gives you, so this is called raising an exception. So it's giving you an error right now, okay? So the Python, and this is one of the questions you're going to have on the final. Is Python an interpreted language or a compiled language? Anybody remember that from the beginning, week or two? Remember what interpreted languages do? They read a line at a time. They interpret it into binary code and execute it. But a compile program, you run it through a compiler and create a .exe file and then run that. So what do you think we're doing right here when we type in a command? Yeah, it's interpreted, right? It's taking this and interpreting it and executing it, line at a time. So the Python interpreter is said to raise an exception of type 0 division error. So it raised, that's what we call it, raising an exception. When an exception is raised, it terminates the snippet or the script. So it terminates this division action. It displays the exception's traceback. Did anybody get something that said traceback on there? Did you get traceback too? It should have said traceback.
Oh, yes.
Traceback?
Yeah.
Did it say traceback? Okay. So you'll get a traceback, and then it's going to show you the next prompt. This is the prompt when you're in the terminal. Okay. So let's try this one. Try to type in value equals int input enter integer. So type this line, and then I want you to type in the word hello, the string hello, and see what you get. Let me highlight this so you guys can see. So type in this right here, which we've done 100 times. This is how you get input from the user, right? And we're trying to convert it to an integer. And then it's going to sit there and wait, and then I want you to type hello and tell me what error you get. Value error, right? You got a value error, right? So it raised another exception. This time it raised an exception because it's trying to convert hello into an integer, right? Invalid literal, which is a string literal, hello, for the int with a base 10, hello, okay? So it's like, I can't convert hello into an integer. It's a string, right? So what we want to be able to do, this is kind of an inelegant crash. We want to have an elegant crash. We don't want it to, we don't want your program to just crash with, you know, without doing something a little bit more more nicely. So we're gonna learn how to handle these exceptions ourselves, so they don't print out all this junk and then just crash. Okay. So let me email you guys this, because that's a lot of typing. But I think you're gonna have to you'll have to fix the indentation. Okay, so there we go. And this is a try except script. Okay, there you go. So you'll have to fix the indentation, but there you go. You don't have to retype everything. So once you get that, type that in, and let's see what this thing is doing. This is very nice code right here. It's out of your book, I didn't write it. This is a really good way to write code that doesn't crash. It's probably going to take you a minute or two just to what I sent you, just, for some reason, it doesn't keep the formatting out of a text file. So basically, you just need to add tabs. This is one tab, and this will be two. So just replace all those spaces with tabs. Make sure they line up and then it'll work.
So do you have the option when you create the email to right click and do paste with formatting or?
Maybe. Let's see. But I don't know if this, let's see. Paste is
Or
great.
you just paste without just the regular paste option?
Let's see, I did the regular paste. What if I do this? Let's see if it looks, nah, it still did it the same way. Yeah, it's still just putting it in. I know it's kind of a, let's see, so I copied this. Insert. Yeah, I don't know. You'd think it would allow you to do that, but let's see. It's still junk. Not junk. Yeah, you would think. It doesn't look like it. Anyway, has anybody got it? Whoops. Here. Just raise your hand when you get it all finished and let me know that you're done, and then we'll take a peek at this line by line and see what it's really doing. Oh, do it in here, create a new file, sorry. Yeah, don't do it in the terminal.
Oh, thank you.
My bad.
I'd love to not do it in the terminal.
Yeah, just create a file, call it, try.py or something.
Say unnecessary things out loud.
Got to put your name there. And I can stay late today, guys. I'm all done coaching. So if anybody has any questions, come up after class. If you have a problem with your grade, or if I missed putting in some points for you or something, let me know. I can hang around.
Oh, bit of both.
What, you got that? Cool. Okay, let's see, so just delete all that right there, just backspace. Keep going all the way to the back, all the way to the left. Now tab it in place. Is this thing flashing?
Yeah, I don't know about access or something.
All that, yeah, just that
See
comment.
what's called doesn't show.
Okay, back up. I'm sure, but I think it has to be indented. Is anybody else getting some weird
Yeah.
formatting errors?
Yeah, like indentation.
I'm having trouble finding out what the indentation should be.
What? Okay, let me see if I can. I'll create a Python file and send it to you then.
Try and accept should be on the same lines, on the same, in the same tab, whatever you call it.
Let's see if I've got this somewhere. Oh, there we go, okay. Here, exercise 8.1, okay. I'm gonna email you a Python file. Something, I don't know why it's not working. Okay, there we go. Just call it try it out.
Wow, what true? Wow, what true again?
And I'm gonna send you the Python script. Just open this up. I don't know why is that giving everybody errors?
Oh, I generally make sorry. I can.
Oh, well, it's okay. Don't worry. Yeah, don't worry about it. Okay, I should have sent you this already as a Python script. I don't know why it's giving you an error. So once you get it open, just raise your hand and we'll take a peek at this line by line. You got it? Okay.
The reason why I get an error is because you got 2 semicolons on the accept lines. You only need 1 after the arrows.
2 semicolons where?
So you see a 1 after accept and after the value error?
Yeah.
Yeah, you only need 1 after the accept. That's what I did, but it worked.
Oh, you got rid of this one?
No, I got rid of the first one.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh. But what did I just send you? Does it have one there or not? Let me see.
One, I've got one.
Where's my blah, blah, blah? Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, get rid of that one. Yeah. Good catch. Okay, so if you guys were typing it, yeah, get rid of that.
Oh.
But I think you still need else to have a colon. Yeah. Yeah, good catch. There you go. So that should fix those errors.
That deserved applause.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at this a line at a time and see what is actually happening here. So we got a try. So while true, what does this mean, first of all? This is a while loop, right? And true is a Boolean value, right? And you could also put the number 1 in there if you wanted, and it would be true. So what is this going to do if I just say while true? What's it going to do?
Loop. Well,
It's going to loop for how long?
until something's false.
Yeah, it's going to keep looping. It's going to keep running the things that are indented in here until you break out. So this is just an infinite loop. The only way we get out of this is by breaking, right here, right? You've got to break it. You've got to get out of it somehow, and this break will get out of the loop. So this is an infinite loop. It's a cool way to do stuff. A lot of programmers do this. They'll just put while true or while 1. If you put the number 1, it does the same thing. It just loops, 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 loops until you finally get what you want, and then you break out. So we're going to keep looping, and then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try. So this whole try except else is one whole block. So now we're going to start doing what's inside this. Okay? So the first thing we do is we say number equals int input numerator. Okay? So you guys already saw, suppose you type in hello right here. Because it's going to prompt the user, enter the numerator. We're trying to calculate a fraction. And if you say, remember we said hello, and what kind of error did it give us?
It was a string.
It was a value
Value.
error. Value, right? So this is going to print out, enter numerator. If you type hello, it's going to go right to here. It only goes to one of these, it won't ever go to more than 1. It only goes to 1. So this is a value error. It says try to convert non-numeric value, and it says print, you must enter 2 integers. It's going to print that out, Then it's gonna come back to the top of the while and try it again. And then it's gonna say enter a numerator. Say you enter 3, okay, that worked. No, it didn't raise an exception. We go to the next line, enter a denominator. What if we type in an A? Oh, we get a value error. It prints you must enter 2 integers. It jumps out of this except back to the while. Comes back here, asks you for the numerator denominator. Suppose we put in 4 and 16. That's 1/4, right? And then it says result equals 4 divided by 16, okay? And then we try, so we've accomplished the try. There's no exceptions raised, so then we go down to else. So if there's no exceptions, we go down to the bottom else, and executes only if no exceptions, and then we're just gonna print out number 1, that's a numerator, with 3 decimal points, divided by number 2 with 3 decimal points equals the result with 3 decimal points, and then we break out. Okay? So let's take a peek at that. And you guys could run it too. Oh, what's going on here?
Ah,
Just trying to open up something over here.
this is really good code.
There we go. Okay. So let's run this guy and see what happens. Okay, get out of this. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna run it. It says enter a numerator. Okay, let's type in A. You must enter 2 integers. Jump back out, now we're at the beginning. I'll put in 4, oh that's right. How about the denominator, we'll put in hello. It says you must enter 2 integers. Okay, so let's type in something good, 4 and 16. Those are both integers. And now it prints out 4 divided by 16 is 0.25. And then I have some more stuff at the bottom that you guys haven't seen yet. Here's another function. So does everybody understand what this one is doing here now? So this is a real nice way to force the user to enter 2 integers. It just keeps looping. It's like but it allows you to print out what you want. You don't get a crappy error where it just says value error and crashes, right? You get a value error, you raise an exception, but then it prints out this, jumps back to the while loop, and goes back in again.
Errors that you don't mention in an exception will not be displayed because it'll just stop running the loop, right? So that the program, worst case scenario, will just start running. The user doesn't have to see like a traceback or something, right?
Right, right.
Okay.
And we didn't try the other thing. So this has one other exception it's going to handle is the 0 division, right? So if you make the denominator 0, let's try that. That should give us the 0 division. So we'll say the numerator is 4, denominator is 0. Now we should get the division, which should say attempted to divide by 0. Whoops. I need more space here. Let's try this again. Oh, there it is. Okay. So you saw that. It says attempted to divide by 0. It wants us to put, now you could put 0 in the numerator, and that's just going to be 0. That works. It's just going to return 0. But if you put 0 in the denominator, you get to divide by 0. Okay, let's look at this other piece of code, then I'm going to give you guys a break. This is a function now. It's just called try it, and it takes one value. And what we're going to try to do inside here is, so we're going to pass it something down here. So we've written a function, and we're calling it down here. Value, first it's going to go into its try except block. And this one has something different. It's called finally. Finally always gets run last. if you have a finally clause here, it's always gonna run, and also the else is gonna run too. If everything works, you're gonna get the else and then the finally. So here we're saying x equals int value, right? So if I pass it in, right here I passed it in 10.7. Can it convert 10.7 into an integer? So that's what the first thing it's going to try to do. Sure, because you can convert a float to an int. You just truncate it, right? It's going to convert it into 10. So that's going to succeed right here. So we're not going to raise any errors. We're going to come down here and we're going to say the int of 10.7 is, we could have said x right here, but it says int of value. We're converting it to an integer. It should say 10, and then it should say finally executed. And then if we call it again with the string Python, it's going to come in here. It's going to try to convert the word Python into an integer and store it into x. That's going to give us a value error, and it's going to say Python could not be converted to an integer. And then it's going to jump down and say finally executed. And then it's just going to quit. So let's try that.
Parentheses on the, intentionally on value while there's curly braces on the other value.
Yeah, it's calling a function right there. So this is a good point, Tim. This, why can't I highlight this? This is calling a function inside the formatted print, which you can do. I don't know why they didn't just put X in. Okay, so I'm gonna comment out this top part here, so we don't run it. 3 double quotes, and I'll put that right here. We're not gonna run the top part. Okay, that's commented out. Now we're just gonna do try it. And we're gonna pass it 10.7. Let's try it, and I'll comment out this call with it for 2. Okay, let's try it with 10.7. Okay, it says int of 10.7 is 10, finally is executed. Okay, so that's cool. So it didn't have to do the else because no, it did the else, yeah. This is the else, and then this is the final. And now let's pass it something bogus. Now we'll call it with the word Python. And this should say Python could not be converted to an integer, and then it should say finally execute. Okay. So it skipped the else. So this was it raised an exception when it tried to convert an int. Where am I at here? Where's the X part? Is that not
Whoever
it?
named it finally must
Oh,
be
there it is.
doing
My
this.
bad. There's more up there. Okay. So we passed it the string Python. It tried to convert it into an integer right here. That raised the value error, could not be converted. Else is only executed. Either one of these are done. This one, if this one fails, it doesn't go to else. But if that exception is never raised, it does go to else and then finally. So when we put 10.7, it printed else and finally. When we put in something bogus, it printed the value error and then finally. Finally is always executed. Okay? And you saw that down here. It just said, nope, Python could not be converted to an integer, and Python finally is executed. So it gave us this error and that. All right, so take a break, come back at 10 after, and we'll go into I think we have a little bit more about exceptions.